So I moved to Egypt when I was about 14 years old. Before that, I grew up here in the U.S. I was actually born here in Chicago. Um, so I learned to play squash during the whole Ahmed Barada craze that was happening in the late 90s in Egypt. I was, it was a really unique time for squash in Egypt at that time. And I was fortunate enough to be a member of one of the top clubs. It's called the Maadi Club in southern Cairo, which hosted a number of the country's top juniors and top professional squash players. So I learned to play squash. I started playing, and just at a club level, nothing really. I didn't get into the juniors and all that. So I was playing, and then after I would go on and play for like an hour, and then I would watch the pros and the juniors train and play some practice matches. And then as I watched, gradually they started to ask me to give decisions or just give my opinion on what I thought when interference happened. So I started doing that a little bit, and then eventually they started to suggest that I referee local club events, and then people started recognizing me, and maybe you should start doing the nationals. So they invited me to come to the nationals, and then eventually I was invited to as a marker for the Al Ahram International in front of the pyramids in the late 90s. Yeah, I think everybody loved Barada at that time. He was a sensation, right? Like he was the local hero. He was and Egypt didn't really have a world champion in any sport at that time, so it was really big for the country. So he had a huge following, and yeah, that's pretty much everybody's favorite player at that time to watch. Yeah, I really enjoy the camaraderie that I've developed with my colleague referees, some of whom I consider lifelong friends now. It's been a journey of many years now, and I've been able to cultivate a number of relationships throughout the global squash community as a whole. I really like that it's kept me connected in the sport that I love at an intimate level. I also really like that the respect and the recognition that I receive from the players and the spectators and everyone involved whenever I do a good job on a difficult match. Some of the challenges that I've had to face personally is trying to balance out between work and taking time off from work and refereeing squash tournaments. I mean, every referee would love to just travel the world and do all these squash tournaments, but unfortunately that's just not the case at the moment. Another challenge, I think, is the scrutiny that we receive whenever we don't get it right. The scrutiny that we receive when we don't get it right, and I suppose that's just the nature of the role that we're in. And in today's world, with the presence of social media, I guess that level of scrutiny has become a little more elevated now, because everything's available online now, and people post their opinions on what they think of decisions, and whether they're right or wrong, it just starts spreading like wildfire. So I guess people kind of just need to understand that squash is probably one of the most challenging sports in the world to officiate because of the subjective nature of the decisions. So, a stroke to one person could be a no-let to someone else, and there's varying opinions on that kind of stuff. We always try to reach the fairest outcome possible for every decision, given the tools that we have. But at the end of the day, we are human and we do make mistakes.